kid. How you doing today?
I'm doing quite well now that I get to eat.
Excellent, excellent. Tell me a little bit about who I'm sitting with and what we got going on tonight.
Adrian Vilaca. I'm a professional mixed martial artist. I fight at 145 pounds. I'm originally from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and now I live in Toronto. I'm working and training.
Excellent, excellent. Tell us a little bit about being a Sault Ste. Marie boy and being a hometown guy. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing over in Toronto and how you're training and everything like that.
I'm in Toronto originally, well, for two reasons, I guess. One is for my fighting career, and the second one's for my job, my professional career. So I work as a strength and conditioning coach with a lot of NHL players at Gary Roberts' place. And then I train in a couple different gyms down there with a lot of good guys, so it made sense to make the move.
So tell me a little bit about that, of course, being a Sioux boy, and I mean, we live, eat, and breathe hockey and that kind of stuff. So tell me a little bit about how you working out with the NHLers and your fighting and everything like that, and how it comes into one-on-one. And I know there's going to come a point in time someday where you're working with a guy down the road that's a bit of a fighter. I mean, are you going to get in there and teach some guys how to throw out on the ice and stuff like that? And I mean, that's got to be enjoyable. I know you're working with Stammer and a couple of them guys. I mean,
Yeah.
That's got to be something, being a Sioux boy and growing up hockey. What's that like to be able to be out there and be fighting with the big guys and to even be working out with the big NHLers? What's that like?
I mean, ultimately, everyone, they're just regular dudes. They just happen to possess an exceptionally high level of skill in the game of hockey. Like Jeff Skinner and Steve Stamkos, like all those guys are fun to work with because they're such great athletes. But at the end of the day, they're still just regular dudes. I did a little bit of work with some of the guys on boxing over the summer, and it was fun because just because you're a tough guy on the ice doesn't mean you know how to throw punches. So in that regard, it was fun to cross over and work back and forth with them. I don't know, being a fighter might get me a little bit of respect with them, but it's still the same. Not really.
Well, I know it's got to be something being on the golf course with them guys, and they're giving you the chirps about being a boxer. To know that maybe if Stammer got a little chirpy, that you could take him. What do you think about that?
Maybe. I think on off skates, I think I'd win, but on skates, I don't think so.
Definitely, definitely. What's your game plan here? I mean, are you looking more for trying to be a fighter, or you want to work with the NHLers? I mean, you want to be able to be a bit of a hybrid and do both, but I know that obviously at some point in time there's going to come where you maybe got to choose your careers, whether you're going to go and work with these NHLers or have the opportunity to kind of do what Ricardo's done and be a fighter in the UFC. What's your game plan with that?
Oh, 100%. I want to be where Ricardo is and more. And if you asked him, he wants more than he has already, right? Yeah. So that's ultimately that's the goal, 100%. And right now we'll do both. We'll juggle two different balls in the air, and hopefully I'm at a point in my career where I can fight full time, and that's my full time job. But when I'm done that, I'll go back and I'll work with guys. I love being a coach.
Excellent, excellent. What being from Sault Ste. Marie and the fact that fighting and stuff like that hasn't really been a mainstream sport for either on your side or our side here in the States. What was it like from you coming from Sault, Ontario? How did you really get into the fighting and stuff like that? Were you in the wrestling in high school across the river, and how did you make that jump like Ricardo? How did you get into the fighting? Where did you realize that you had that niche for to be able to take a punch and to really give one and get in there and go toe to toe with a guy?
I don't know. I don't want to sound like a parrot, but it was a slow process. You're like, oh, I think I can do this a little bit, and then you go out and you have a little bit of fun. And you're like, oh, I'm gonna try an amateur fight, and it just kind of snowballs a lot the same way he did. I didn't wrestle in high school. I wrestled in university after, but because I was fighting, I enjoyed the sport, and I wanted to try out the different aspects individually, and I just figured out I'll give it a shot, and it's snowballed.
Definitely, definitely. So are you kind of on the same game plan as Ricardo? I mean, what's your training sessions like down in Toronto, and what's your daily routine when you're going through a regular work day and stuff like that, albeit whether, you're with the NHLers or you're on your fighting routine? What's that like?
I'm the same, 2 or 3 workouts a day. I get up in the morning at 5:30 so that I can go to work, so that I can go train.
Yeah.
And then I'll go and I'll eat something and I'll catch a quick nap if I can. I'll go back to work for a little bit, go back and train, and home and repeat. It's not a glamorous.
Definitely, no. I know where you're coming from there. Yeah, for sure. Every day, it's the same thing with hockey. You get up every day. I mean, and that's one of those things. Like you said, you don't want to be a parrot, but what really gives it, every day for you to get up and do that? I mean, you're the guy who's just starting out. You're not as lucky as Ricardo yet, where he can basically just be a fighter and go out there and do his business. What's it like to have to get up every morning and go earn a paycheck to be able to do what you love?
I love my job. I love being a coach. So to me, a bad day in there, or a bad day in the gym is better than a good day doing something I don't enjoy, right?
Of course.
So both those things are things that I enjoy, and I think it's easy when you enjoy stuff. It's easy to be motivated. I have a lot of good guys around me that I train with, and I see the success that they have, and I want what they have. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see here. What's it like, being from the Sioux and stuff like that? I mean, it's 85,000 people over there, like stuff like that. It's probably one of the smaller, Canadian cities. To go to the Toronto area and stuff like that, and the diversity and the change and everything from your regular life in the Sioux to going there and getting into your fighting routine and getting into your daily life there and your job there and stuff like that. Was it a big, culture shock or anything like that? Were you just kind of ready for it? You just kind of jumped in and had at her and had a good support?
No, for sure, it was a huge change. There's a lot of good guys around me, I think, and that's exactly what helped out. Antonio Carvalho, who fights this weekend, is a good friend, and I went down there for a couple weeks, and I stayed at Tony's place before I made the move, and I trained with the guys down there, and I really enjoyed it. And if you want to be successful in something, you have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone. You have to take yourself, put yourself outside, and you have to do things that make you scared, and you have to do things that make you nervous and that you're not sure of. And it was one of those moves.
Well said, well said. So what's on tap? Tell us a little bit about what's on tap for your fighting as of right now. We'll talk a little bit about your NHL career and stuff like that after, but what's on tap for fighting right now? What's your game plan there?
Tomorrow night, Queen Casino, everyone tune in. I'm going to go beat someone up for fun and money.
Of course.
Of course. And then after that, I'd like to have 3 more fights in before the end of the year. I'm really happy that Big John's MMA was able to bring me out here. There's a drought in Ontario for fighters.
Definitely.
There's nothing going on. The score got bought out. No organizations are putting anything on, so I was very fortunate to come out here and get a fight. And hopefully in Montreal at the end of May, I'll have another one, and we'll go from there.
How did you get into the Big John? How did you get the opportunity to come out here and fight and show these guys what you're all about?
I fought for his promotion as an amateur, so in and around the Michigan circuit, and it's where I did all my amateur fighting. So it was a good connection already, and through the Freya brothers, and they mentioned they had a show, and I was happy to come down and have some fun.
Excellent. Well, like I said, you'll be fighting tomorrow night, and best of luck, and thanks so much for the interview. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, man.